Hey guys, Evan here with the Professional Amateur, and today we're going to be talking about the GoPro Hero 5 settings that I use for filmmaking. Let's get started. Let's face it, GoPros are completely rad, but some settings have been completely overused. So today I'm going to go through the settings that I use to get super crispy cinematic shots. So let's get started. Here we have three options. We have our resolution, our frame rate, and then our point of view. For this GoPro, I use it almost predominantly for slow motion. So in slow motion on this camera, you're limited to 1080p. So I'm going to set it up for 1080. And then for really nice buttery slow motion, we're going to want to go for 120 frames per second. So I'm going to set that. And then in order for me to match my Sony cameras as best as I can, I'm going to set this at narrow. Don't set it at wide because the field of view is way too wide and it's way overused in my opinion. So we're going to stick with narrow. Okay, now we're going to go over to the Pro Tune settings. So you're going to want to swipe left. And now we're going to get into more detailed settings here. So if we go into our color, we have two options. We have flat and then we have GoPro color. So for GoPro color, what that is that it does a lot of color grading for you. So if you don't have a lot of time in post, you can do that. But for me to better match with my Sony footage, I use a flat profile. And then for my white balance, I use native. Unfortunately, a lot of times I don't have enough time to fiddle with my GoPro, so I set this at native so it'll control it automatically, and then I can do my best to fix that in post if there's an error. So the ISO, we need to make sure that we look at this. This is going to be the ISO limit. So this is the maximum ISO your camera's going to go to. GoPros aren't made for low light, so there's no need to set your ISO limit really high. It's going to look like garbage anyway, so you may as well just set your ISO limit low and then not use this camera ever in low light situations. So I have mine set at 800. The footage still looks pretty decent at 800. Shutter speed, I set it at auto. I have no time or place to be fiddling with the shutter speed in this GoPro, especially when I have it mounted to the gimbal or I have it mounted in the case somewhere. Just don't have time to fool with it. Exposure value compensation set at 0. Sharpness, very important. You need to set this at low. GoPro does a really crappy job of performing in-camera sharpening, so it's best to just add that sharpness in post, so set that to low. The next thing is going to be your audio. Okay, so depending on whether you're going to be relying on this for your dedicated audio source or not, I would suggest not fiddling with this, but I have it set to medium because the gain control isn't set too high, and then it also has wind noise reduction. So I use this at medium, but just bear in mind this camera really doesn't have the best audio, so I wouldn't really rely on this as an audio source. So now we're going to swipe left again, and this is going to get to video stabilization. I would suggest turning that on. However, if you're going to be shooting slow-mo, this will not be available, so it's only going to be available in other resolutions like 4K and 2.7K and a lower frame rate. Auto low light, I have that turned off because what that does is in low light situations it's going to drop your shutter speed. So in low light situations I already have the ISO limit at 800, so what's going to happen is it's going to start getting, you're going to start getting a lot of motion blur in your footage, so don't turn that on. And don't use this in low light situations. This camera is dedicated to being used outside or in situations where you have a lot of light. And lastly, I wanted to go over manual audio control. I would suggest setting this to wind only. What happens is the GoPro, when set in stereo, is going to pick up lots of sounds that you're not going to need, and it's going to adjust the gain automatically in order to find sounds. So you're going to get a lot of variance in the audio quality. Then it's going to pick up noises that you don't necessarily need. So just keep that on wind only. Okay, professional amateurs, so in review, these first three settings, your resolution is going to be at 1080. For slow motion, your frames per second is going to be at 120, and for your field of view, you're going to have that set to narrow. Swipe left to enter your Pro Tune settings. Here you're going to have your color set to flat. You're going to have your white balance set to native. You're going to have your ISO limit set to 800. Your shutter speed is going to be set to auto. Your exposure value compensation is going to be set to 0. Your sharpness is going to be set to low. Audio at medium. And then your Pro Tune settings, when you swipe left again, video stabilization is off. Auto low light is off. And your manual audio control is going to be set to wind only. Hey guys, thanks for watching this tutorial. If you like content like this and you want to see more, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the description below. I'm happy to answer them. And don't forget to smash that like button. I really appreciate it. Bye-bye.